Good morning, Mega Podlings. It's Crazy Joe. Let's get crazy after dark on Tuesday. It's the first Tuesday crazy after dark. I told you last week we were going to switch the night because Wednesdays are, well, pardon the pun, but they are crazy. They're crazy around this house. I'll tell you, man. And now I have to talk for a couple hours. And my throat is going, of course. Excuse me. I should have gotten some cough drops. At least it's not my nose this time. At least it's not my nose. All right. I see Gary. I see Lisa. Gary says, quick question. Is Code of Honor the episode where Wesley falls in the flowers? No. Code of Honor is an episode widely considered to be the most racist episode of Star Trek ever. It's the one where they go to a planet full of these native people who are all African, and they decide to kidnap Tasha Yar, and the chief decides he wants to keep Tasha Yar, and they have a fight. It's a horrendously bad episode. It's considered to be quite racist, and even if it wasn't racist, it still wouldn't be good. It's probably the worst episode of Next Generation ever made. If not, it's the worst. It's certainly up in that top 10. Excuse me. My God, it's always something on Tuesday, or well, only Crazy After Dark, isn't it? If it's not nose, it's not my nose, it's my throat. And this throat is kind of driving me crazy right now. I've got some cough drops up in the cabinet, and I didn't know I was going to need them. So I guess I'll just have to go with a good old-fashioned Tide Pod instead. I'll take a Tide Pod. Hopefully that'll clear that right up. All right. Aubrey is here. Jamel is here. Lisa is here. Jesse is here. Just says, hello, Joe. Tuesday going to be the new After Dark night? That's the plan. Geriatric Geek is here. Bohemian. Daniel Stafford. Daniel says, favorite and least favorite Star Trek character. Well, my favorite character's got to be Captain Kirk. I think Kirk's got to be my favorite. Least favorite, that's tough. I could go with the low-hanging fruit and say Pulaski. That's an easy choice. Dr. Pulaski. Nobody likes Dr. Pulaski, do they? I don't think so. That might be kind of a cheat, though. If we're going for one of the series regulars, I don't know. Least favorite? I mean, I don't hate her, but maybe Deanna Troi. Deanna Troy's not one of the better characters, I don't think. Gary says, what was the episode of Next Generation where Wesley fell into the flowers? That was a bad episode, too. That was called Justice. And if we're going to be really honest here, the majority of Season 1 of Next Generation was not very good. And Season 2 was only moderately better. Season 1 and 2 of Next Generation were fairly poor. That show didn't really get good until Season 3. But yeah, the episode where Wesley fell in the flowers was not exactly a good one. And yet the Orville felt the need to completely rip it off a couple of years ago. They did an episode of the Orville that was a complete takeoff on the Wesley Falls in the Flowers. It wasn't someone falling in flowers, but it was almost beat for beat the same episode. They go to a planet, they break a rule they did not know was a rule, they get arrested. Seth MacFarlane has to figure out if he should save them. It's one of my great criticisms of the Orville, is that almost every episode of the Orville is a complete and total ripoff of an episode of Star Trek that already exists. Gary says, what was I already read that. I'm sorry. Lisa is here. Welcome, Lisa. Lisa says, what was my favorite part of my trip to Sesame Street? For those of you who do not know, I was on the set of Sesame Street this past Friday. And you saw my video, Dave. Maybe you saw my video. I don't know. Maybe you didn't see my video. Dave and I went to the Museum of the Moving Image in New York. It is a cool movie, television, motion picture museum located in Queens, and it's located directly next door to Kaufman Astoria Studios. So I don't know if they would have let me shoot video on the set of Sesame Street. They may have, but I didn't want to take my chances. I was very, very, very thankful to be there. It was my second time there. I can't believe I've been there once, much less twice. And I wasn't going to do anything to get myself banned so that to guarantee I don't get another invite back. So I was like, no, I'm not going to shoot any video here. But we did do a video next door at the Museum of the Moving Image. So what was my favorite part of my trip to Sesame Street? I think this time around, it was just seeing my daughter, who went with me, interact with Abby Cadabby and Grover. She is soon to be 13 years old. She's 12. She is a preteen, and she's getting to that grumpy, moody, cynical teenager attitude. She's kind of got that attitude. And to see her lock eyes with a puppet and basically believe in that puppet. She had a full conversation with Abby Cadabby. I don't know how long. It seemed to go on for like 20 minutes. It probably wasn't that long. It seemed that long. But she had a full conversation with Abby Cadabby. She had a conversation with Grover, too. And for a moment, she was talking to Grover. She was talking to Abby Cadabby. She was eyes locked eye to eye with the puppet. She wasn't talking to the puppeteer. And to see a cynical preteen believe, that is my favorite part of my trip to Sesame Street last week. My second favorite was I got to see Roosevelt Franklin, one of the old school Muppets from the 70s. I never would have thought in a million years I'd see an old school Muppet like that. I can't believe that happened. And it happened purely by chance. But yeah, I saw Roosevelt Franklin. I got my picture taken with Roosevelt Franklin. I can't believe that happened. So that would be my second favorite part. All right. James says, ever seen the movie The Cube? It's a great movie and proof you don't need classy special effects to be a good movie. All you need is good writing. James, is really funny. The Cube keeps coming up. It came up here on Krazy After Dark a few weeks ago. Then it came up on Cinema Sickness's live stream like a week later. So I don't know what it is about The Cube, but The Cube just keeps coming up lately. Yes, I have seen it. It's fantastic. I never bothered to see the sequels because I didn't really think it was a movie that loaned itself to sequels. I'm like, where do you go with the story that you could take it to a sequel? It seems very self-contained. So I never bothered with the sequels, but I did really, really like the original. Though I am hearing now, because like I said, it has come up quite a few times, that the sequels are actually halfway decent. So maybe I will check them out one of these days. Gavin says, are you excited for Bill and Ted 3? Yes. My only problem is the title. Mediocre Quest for the Triumphant Return are better titles than Face the Music. I don't know. I think I'd have to see the movie to see how the title fits, but I don't have a problem with the title. You know, the original title for the second one was Bill and Ted Go to Hell. And they were told they could not use Go to Hell in the title, so they changed it to Bogus Journey. But that was supposed to be called Bill and Ted Go to Hell. James says, Crazy Joe, I recommend Fantastic Four, World's Greatest Heroes. It's the best Fantastic Four cartoon ever made. Oh, is that the one that's very anime looking? I think I watched like an episode, but I really hate anime. And I think I was turned off by the character designs because they were very anime looking. Daniel says, most anticipated movie of the year. Daniel, it is without question, Wonder Woman 1984. I'm really, really excited for Wonder Woman 1984. Especially after Harley Quinn Birds of Prey. Because the DC Cinematic Universe, under the creative hand or guidance of Walter Hamada, has been phenomenal. Any rough patches or problems they had early on are clearly a thing of the past because under Walter Hamada, they have done nothing but quality, quality, quality. And we got Patty Jenkins back Patty Jenkins obviously guided the first one, and it was the first really, really, really acclaimed DC film. So yeah, Wonder Woman 84 all the way. James says, did you know there is a Mega Man cartoon from the 90s? I don't recommend it. I seem to remember it being on, but I don't think I ever watched it. Honestly, I was a Nintendo guy, Nintendo Entertainment System back in the 80s. I had a Nintendo. I was obsessed with my Nintendo. But oddly enough, and don't ask me why, because they were popular. They were very, very popular. But oddly enough, I've never played a Mega Man game. I don't know why. You would have thought I would have, because they were very popular games back then. I mean, I had all the popular games back then. I had Super Mario Brothers, Punch Out, you name it, like whatever, Castlevania, you know. But I never got Mega Man, any of them. I don't know why. Joanna's forehead is here. Why do you have such a problem with swear words in content made for adults? Because I don't think it should be made for adults. I grew up watching Star Trek with my father. I grew up in grade school. The Next Generation premiered when I was in the 6th grade. I watched the original series when I was younger than that. And I grew up with Star Trek, watching it with my father. And now I have kids. I would love my kids to be able to watch it with me like I watched it with my dad. And they can't. They can't because it's mature content. And on top of that, there's now 2 Star Trek shows, Discovery and Picard. If you're going to have multiple shows, why not? If you want to have one be the mature show, this one's for mature adults, but this one's more family friendly, that would make more sense to me. But, you know, why do they both have to be for mature audiences? Star Trek was never for mature audiences up till now. And on top of that, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the universe because not only have we never heard them speak like that previously, which can be chalked up to the fact they were on television, but anytime there was profanity, like in Star Trek 4, Spock seemed baffled by it. Like, we've never heard this before. So it just doesn't fit. It feels like shock value. It feels like when they did it on Discovery, first time they did it on Discovery, it felt like, hey, we're a new show. We're on a streaming network that is trying to break through. Not a lot of people have it. What can we do to get our name in the press? What can we do to just kind of get our name out there? And then they just drop an F-bomb, and then sure enough, the next day, everything from Slash Film to IO9, you name it, like all the news sites were like, Star Trek drops first F-bomb. Star Trek. It was the news of the day on all the online news sites. So it was like, oh, mission accomplished. You got your name of your show and your streaming service all over the place. And the quality of the writing is so good. Like, Discovery is such a good show. The scripts are so good. It really doesn't need it. It doesn't need that kind of cheap shock value. And obviously, Discovery never did it again. So I was like, oh, good. They got it out of their system. I guess they wanted the press. They got the press, and now we're done with it. But then Picard comes along, and now it's like every other episode. It just feels cheap. It feels out of place. It doesn't really fit the universe. And it just makes it that my daughter, who loves Star Trek The Next Generation, I can't watch Picard with her. And that's a real shame because I grew up watching it with my dad. And again, the quality is good. It's good writing. Now, they're saying there's going to be a couple more live action shows. There's a couple more live action shows in the works. I hope at least one of them is family friendly. Like if they make a Captain Pike series or Starfleet Academy, make one of them something that families can watch together, because Star Trek was always a show families watch together, and I want to watch with my family. James said, today at Big Lots, I got South Park Season 18. Since I'm planning to get Season 11 through 15, I'll get the rest individually. I have Seasons 1 through 5. It's a pretty good deal. Gary says, Joe, why do you hate anime? I don't like the look of it, man. We've all got our thing, and anime it doesn't it's not aesthetically pleasing to me. I don't like the way it looks, quite frankly. And yeah, it's not unusual. Anime is a very divisive art form. I remember back in the day when Adult Swim would show Cowboy Bebop, but they also showed shows like um, Aqua Teen Hunger Force and C Lab. If you went to the message boards on Cartoon Network's website, there was always like a war of words, if you will, between the anime fans and the comedy fans. And it just seems like, people who love anime. People who love anime, like, they really, really, really love anime. And that's cool. Everyone's got their thing. I'm not going to put it down. If you like it, you like it. I'm not going to like trash what you like. I just personally, it's not for me. James says, I'm excited for Wonder Woman 84 since I like the first Wonder Woman movie, although I like the DC animated movies more. I like the DC animated movies a lot too, but I gotta tell you, we just watched this one for the first time the other day, Wonder Woman Bloodlines. I did not care for this one. I did not care for this one at all. I thought the pacing was off. It was like too fast paced. Usually I like the animated movies, but Wonder Woman Bloodline was not one of my favorites. I'm looking forward to seeing Red Sun though. Lisa says, how about your favorite part of the Henson exhibit? I was mesmerized by all of it, but I love Miss Piggy's wedding dress. I'm waiting for Waldorf and Statler to start heckling me. And you know what? I freaked out when I saw Cotter Pindoozer. I gotta tell you, I really freaked out when I saw Cotter Pindoozer. I don't know why. I just something about Cotter Pin. Would the Doozers, maybe the Doozers? The Doozers might be my favorite. I'm always happy anytime I see a Skeksis, though. I love the Dark Crystal, and seeing a Skeksis in front of me, that was pretty awesome. I'm a Henson guy, man. I love the whole thing. It's really hard for me to pick a favorite. I could have gone through the Henson exhibit like 3 times in a loop. I loved the Henson exhibit. James says, there's a Castlevania cartoon on Netflix. I saw one episode. Again, James, it's anime. It's anime. I'm afraid I'm not going to like He-Man either because it's anime. James says, there's a Twilight Zone reboot on CBS All Access. Your thoughts? I watched the first couple episodes. It was okay. I got to say, it really didn't grab me. I heard it got better. So it's on my radar to go back and check out again. But the first couple episodes, especially the reboot of the Shatner episode, Terror at 40,000 Feet, I really did not like the reboot of that. The one with Kumail Nanjiani, that was okay. I'm going to check it out again, though. I really do want to see it. And, speaking of anthology shows, the new Amazing Stories just premiered on Apple TV. And Apple TV Plus, excuse me. And we have Apple TV Plus for free, I think for 1 year, because we bought an iPhone recently for my daughter. So, you buy a new Apple product, you get a year free. So I got to watch the 5 episodes of Amazing Stories that dropped. Gary says there's a good Captain Pike series out there. It's called The Cage. Well, I've seen The Cage. I don't know that I'd call that a series, but yeah, no, I love The Cage. It's great. Backquid says, hey, Joe, how's it hanging? Good. Joanna says, would you be interested in an Invisible Man 2? Do you think it should be made? I'm interested. Execution's everything. Who's directing it? Who's writing it? Are we getting Lee Wanell back? Lee Wanell did a phenomenal job on the first one. You've got my interest. It's all in the execution. But I will say the way, and I don't want to give spoilers away. If you haven't seen The Invisible Man, I'm not going to say too much here because I don't want to spoil, because it's the best movie out right now. But the way they did The Invisible Man, the means by which the Invisible Man became invisible could easily fall into someone else's hands. So I think you could do it. I think you could do a second Invisible Man. Backqueen says, I saw your recent video, and this is what I don't understand. Just because you criticize something doesn't mean you hate it. I could criticize all my favorite movies, but I still love them. Exactly, Backqueen, exactly. And what really got me upset was there is a Star Trek Facebook group. And it's a Star Trek Facebook group specifically made for fans of Picard and Discovery, because so many toxic fans don't just hate those shows. You like what you like. You like what you like. You don't like what you don't like. If you don't care for Star Trek Discovery or Star Trek Picard, I'm not going to beat you up over it. That's fine. That's fine. But there's so many toxic fans who hate those shows and want to tear down fans who like them and tell you, well, you're not a real Star Trek fan if you like that. And this isn't real Star Trek. And if you accept this, as real Star Trek, you're not a true fan. And there's so much of that there's this one Facebook group that kind of puts themselves out there as the troll-free group. There's not going to be any of that in our group. And everybody in there is a fan of Picard and a fan of Discovery. So now here we are. We're all fans. We all like this thing. And all I said was, I don't like that they dropped an F-bomb. That was it. I don't like that they dropped an F-bomb. And people came after me. Like, how dare you? How dare you say you don't like something about these shows? It was like I was in there trashing these shows that I love, that I don't miss, that I'm in front of my TV every Thursday night watching the new Picard or when Discovery's on. I love these shows. I have said on this channel many times, Star Trek Discovery, best show on television. But I said I didn't care for the profanity, and people came after me like I was the biggest bastard on the face of the planet. And this is a group that's supposed to be troll-free, fans of these shows. And all I could think to myself was, wow, it's bad enough. It's bad enough that if we go on any other group or anywhere else, we have to worry about the trolls coming after us because we like these things. But now we're going to turn on each other? Like, everybody here likes this stuff. Like, we're all here because we like this stuff. But now we're turning on each other because I criticized an aspect of a show I'm a fan of. And it occurred to me that, like, people have this attitude like, these shows are perfect. They're perfect, and don't you dare point out a single thing that you don't like about the. And I'm like, but we do it with the other shows, The Next Generation. Everybody likes The Next Generation, but everyone always says season 1's not very good. People say I hate Wesley Crusher. People say I don't like Dr. Pulaski. How come we can be a fan of The Next Generation and say we don't like something about The Next Generation? But now with these two new shows, you're not allowed to make any criticisms at all. And it drove me crazy. And I think it was, every action has an opposite and equal reaction. And I think that the trolling against these shows is so strong. The people who hate these shows are trolling so strong against them that the people who like the shows have created an opposite and equal reaction of, we love them, and they're perfect, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, whoa, tone it down. There's middle ground. You can like a thing and say, I like this thing, but I didn't like this. And that seems to have been lost lately. James says, did you know Star Trek had an animated series in the 70s? Absolutely. I own the Blu-rays. It's a great little show. Same writers as the original show. I actually consider it to be season 4 of the original series. Lisa says, oh, I'm sorry, side conversation there. Side conversation there, blah, blah, blah. I apologize. Backwood says, I think it's so stupid that people are attacking others because of opinions. Granted, I hate Suicide Squad and The Last Jedi, but if someone else likes them, that's fine with me. Exactly, exactly. Like what you like. Like what you like. Who cares? Like what you like. If someone else doesn't like it, that's fine. I hate The Big Bang Theory. I think The Big Bang Theory is the worst show. It's not funny. I hate it. But I'm not going to attack someone who likes it. If you like it, that's fine. I'm not going to watch it. It doesn't affect me one way or the other. I just don't watch it, you know? But people are like, like, how dare you? How dare you dislike the thing I like? Or how dare you like the thing I dislike? I don't know, it's gotten weird. It's really gotten weird. James says, even the great Star Trek fandom is starting to have bad eggs, and I thought Star Wars fandom was bad. Oh man, it's getting terrible. It's the same with Doctor Who fandom. It's the same with you name it. It's like that. There's just, I don't know what's going on these days. I don't know what's everyone's angry about something. Nobody just likes things anymore. Jim Dugan is in the house. Welcome, welcome. Lisa said something and retracted it. I don't know what it was. Sam is in the house. What? I saw you watched Horse Girl. What are your thoughts? Wow, Sam, that is a good question. I didn't write a review for Horse Girl because I'm not quite sure what my thoughts are. I don't know that I liked it. I don't know that I didn't like it. I'm a little on the fence about Horse Girl. I found it to be an uncomfortable film to watch. I found myself getting uncomfortable watching it because, well, to say she's a little mentally unstable would be a bit of an understatement. I don't know. Horse Girl was a tough watch, I gotta say. Horse Girl was a tough watch. James says, I also hate the Big Bang Theory, but I'm not going to attack people for liking it. To me, the show relied too much on dad jokes and reference humor. I'll go you one further, James. I don't think a lot of the jokes were jokes. It's like they just reference things. Like they'll be like, well, this is like that time Spock did blah. And then the canned laughter goes, ha ha ha. And it's like, well, that wasn't a joke. You just mentioned Spock. And they'll be like, wow, if I wanted to get that done, I would need the Flash's speed. Ha ha ha! You referenced the Flash. And it's like, yep, that wasn't really a joke. You just referenced the Flash. I don't know. If you like it, you like it. All I wish you well. I'm not attacking. It's not for me. That's all I gotta say is it's not for me. Sam says I reviewed that movie on the podcast. Joanna says, where should one start if interested in checking out some of the Star Trek novelizations? Oh, that's a good question. I've fallen off of reading the novels. I stopped reading them probably a good decade ago. But I would say anything written by Peter David is really good. He wrote Q Squared. He wrote Imzadi. He wrote Q in Law, which is one with Q, where Q and Luxana Troy meet each other. Anything that with the name Peter David on the cover, you're probably going to have a good time with. Also, his frequent collaborator, Michael Jan Friedman. Michael Jan Friedman wrote some great books back in the day. Those would be my two starting points. I would say you can't go wrong with either of those guys. And both of them, Friedman and Peter David, they wrote novels for the original series and the next generation. I've not really read them, but Kristen Beyer, who is a head writer on Discovery and Picard, wrote some pretty well regarded Voyager novels. I've heard they're really good. So if you're a Voyager fan or a Picard and Discovery fan, because Kristen Beyer is a writer on Picard and Discovery, check out her books. But again, I haven't actually read them myself. And I think those books take place after Voyager ends, where they've made it back to the Alpha Quadrant, and now Chakotay is the captain of Voyager. Jib says, someone told me It's nerd humor. I never got the show. I would argue that Community is more nerd humor. I think that's more nerdy than The Big Bang Theory. Gary says, I think that the group that shall not be named started off genuine, but got hijacked by opportunists that just wanted easy money. You can't ignore that some of the criticisms are legitimate. I went on one of your comments section on your latest video on the group that shall not be mentioned. The group, are we talking about the Facebook group? It's actually a good Facebook group. I know the moderator. He's a really, really nice guy. And he wasn't the one. He wasn't the one who did it. It was some of the people in the group. It's actually a really nice group. As far as Star Trek groups go, it's probably the one where you're going to find the least amount of trolling and things like that. Which is why when it happened, it seemed so out of place. But yeah, no, I don't want to trash that Facebook group. They're actually a good Facebook group. Gary says, "Are you referring to the?" Oh, now there's a group that should not be mentioned. There is a group that should not be mentioned. The Fandom Menace. They are a group of YouTube channels. I never name any of them by name. And they're a group of YouTube channels that's purpose in life is to spread anger and dissent among fandom. That's all they do. That's all they do. It's just what are we hating this week? What are we hating this week? Is it Star Trek? Is it Star Wars? Is it Brie Larson? Oh my God, do they hate Brie Larson? It's just hate. And if you watch these groups, you'll find they never have something good to say about anything. And it's because negativity sells. And negativity sells. Look at the number of subs I have on my channel. Look at the number of subs they have on their channel. A lot more. Because that kind of negativity sells. I think if I really wanted to take the easy way, make this a really, really hot channel, all I would have to do is start talking crap on things. But I'm not going to do that. This is a channel about things that I like. I mean, if I don't like something, I'll tell you I don't like it. But I'm mainly here to celebrate the things that I love. That's, what did Rose Tico say in The Last Jedi? We're going to win not by destroying what we hate, but by celebrating what we love. I probably got the quote wrong, but it's a good quote, and that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to celebrate what we love. And what do I love? I love movies. I love Star Trek. I love Star Wars. I love nerdy things. I love action figures. I love comics. This is what I love. Let's celebrate it. James says, do you know that the Twilight Zone had 2 revival series, one in the 80s and the other in 2002, and a movie in the early 80s? I did know that, James. I have both series, all 3 series, the original series, the 80s series, and the 02 series. I own them all on DVD. The 80s series for the final season, J. Michael Straczynski, excuse me, I'm spitting now, creator of Babylon 5, he was the story editor in the final season. And the last series was pretty good. It was hosted by Forrest Whitaker, who I personally didn't think was creepy enough to host the Twilight Zone. I thought, who would have been good? Jeffrey Combs. Jeffrey Combs from Star Trek and Reanimator. I think he would have been a good host because he's a little weird, a little, nice guy. I interviewed him right on this channel. Really, really cool guy. But anyway, Gary says, I was not referencing the Facebook group. I think that culture you're experiencing was created by the Fandom Menace. They're just a cult like the prequel bashers. Yeah. I'll tell you what that's all about. There's a group, I don't like, a YouTube channel, very successful YouTube channel. I don't like to mention their name because I don't like to give them free plugs. Because I'm fundamentally against what they do. And I don't feel I should be plugging them and driving people to their channel when I'm fundamentally opposed to what they do. But it's a channel that does little mini documentaries. They do things in documentary format. And in during the Sony hacks, when the Sony emails all got leaked to the public, this particular channel gathered what was in the Sony hacks and did little documentaries on what went on behind the scenes of Ghostbusters, what went on behind the scenes of Spider-Man, why everything was going on, going wrong with these productions. And everything they said was verifiable because it came from the hacked Sony emails. So you could watch their video, and then you could go online, you could find the hacked emails, and you could verify everything this channel was saying, and it was all true. There's just one problem. The Sony hack had an end date. Eventually they had covered everything covered in the Sony hack, and Ghostbusters came out, Amazing Spider-Man came out, and they had nothing left. They covered everything in the hacked Sony emails. But by now, they had built up an audience, and they were quite successful. So they had to keep going. But they didn't have anything anymore. So they started making it up. And they just made it up. But now they had a proven track record, because if anyone said, well, how do I know you're reliable? They could say, well, did you see our video on Ghostbusters? Did you see our video on Spider-Man? We got it all right. Everything we said was right. Well, they had a legitimate source for those. So people just blindly started believing them. And they started putting out nonsense. Clickbait nonsense that they were making up themselves or getting from really, really, really inaccurate sources. But they now had built an audience that trusted them. And then they got these other channels who started becoming like hangers-on and riding their coattails. Like there's a a girl with red hair who calls herself the YouTube Harpy. Again, I'm not going to name the names of the channels. I'm not giving these people free plugs. But these people just started riding their coattails. And then all of these guys started doing the same crap. Same crap. Either they would appear on each other's channels. They would do live streams where they would all get together. And they would just spread the same BS rumors over and over and over. And they created an echo chamber where the people who listened to them believed everything they said, despite the fact that they were always wrong. Like they predicted, because of their inside sources, Star Trek Discovery was going to be canceled in season 1. Then it was going to be canceled in season 2. And then it was going to be, there's no way it's going to get a third season. Then, it's got a third season coming. They got it wrong every step of the way. They said things like, Sarek, Spock's father Sarek, is going to turn out to be a trans-dimensional being. Didn't happen. Like they didn't get anything right. Ever. Once. Not once. They got it wrong every time. But their audience, for some reason, never catches on that they're making this stuff up. Their audience just goes like, oh, these guys, they said Discovery is going to be canceled. It's going to be, they said it. They have a source that said, it's like, yeah, they've been saying it for 3 years. They've been saying it for 3 years. The show keeps getting renewed. It's clickbait. And they've created a whole community, and they call themselves the Fandom Menace. And it's become horrible. Sam says, could you please tell us the names of the channels or really good hints? I hate to draw traffic to them. I really do. I hate to draw traffic to them. I'll give you the name of the one that started it all. It was a channel called Midnight's Edge. was a channel called Midnight's Edge, but they've now formed a community of toxic clickbait channels that just go on, they make crap up, and they collect the money. And it's ridiculous. They've got, you know, subs to put me and Cinema Sickness and Rick combined to shame. But everything they say is nonsense. Everything they say is nonsense, but they're just feeding an anger. So I've gone on a rant far too long about those guys. They're really best ignored, but unfortunately they're so popular that their videos get shared all over Facebook and people believe the things they say. And then I see them in news articles. A website will be like, run an article and say, according to a new rumor that started on the channel, blah, blah, blah. And it's one of those guys. And it's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? James says, ever seen 12-ounce Mouse? It's a good show, in my opinion. I have not seen 12-ounce. I've never heard of it, to be honest with you. Lisa says, Joe, did you get any souvenirs on your Queens adventure? Well, I did buy a Jim Henson exhibition, fridge magnet, and coffee mug and t-shirt. So, yeah, I got a bunch of stuff that says the Jim Henson exhibition on it. I didn't bring back any more Muppet hairs. Like, I got some Snuffy hairs the first time I was there. But nothing like that again. Brandon says, it was made locally in the early 80s, had its first theatrical screening last week. Oh, what are we talking about? I missed something. Joe, ever heard of the movie Hellfire, also known as Primal Scream? I've never heard of that, Brandon, but it was... By the way, if you're in the Philadelphia area, anywhere in the Philadelphia area, Philadelphia, Jersey, Delaware, I don't know, anywhere in this region, on Facebook, there's a new Facebook group that I started, and I'd like to invite all of you to join, called Philadelphia Cinephiles. And it's a Facebook group I created to share news about local area movie screenings, cult film screenings, things like that, film festivals, things like that happening in the area. So what Brandon's talking about, this screening that I'm just hearing about now, that's the kind, you share it on there. If you share it on there, other people in the area can find out about it. So if you're in the Philadelphia area, if you're not in the Philadelphia area, you're free to join too. But I don't know that it's going to be as useful to you. But yeah, Philadelphia area cinephiles. Look for it on Facebook. Join if you're in the area and you love cinema. James says, hey, Crazy Joe, what's your thoughts on the Amazing Spider-Man movies from 2012 and 2014? I thought the first Amazing Spider-Man movie was okay. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I thought it was just okay. The second one I thought was pure garbage. I hated it. I think it's one of the worst superhero movies ever made. Not a fan of that one. Sam says they post almost 3 videos a day. I guess we're talking about Midnight's Edge. Gary says Midnight's Edge weren't in the Fandom Menace originally. They were pro Last Jedi and flipped their opinion because their audience was turning on them. Gary, that's another hallmark of these kind of channels, is that they play to their audience. Which I find to be very disingenuous. You like something or you don't like something. When I tell you I like something, I like it. When I tell you I don't like something, I don't like it. So you can trust me, because I'm not going to lie to you guys. These guys cater their opinions to what their audience wants to hear. For example, one of them, the girl with the red hair, was once starting to give an episode of Star Trek a positive review, and in the chat, the live feed, her audience was not liking it. And she, on a dime, said, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say this is good. You guys don't want to hear that. Yeah, no, it's terrible. It's just as bad. And she even said, you guys don't want to hear that. And she flipped her response to appease the audience. And it's like, well, you don't have credibility. You've just verified that you are playing to your audience. You don't have any backbone to say what you like. Why would I believe you? Why would I listen to you? I just watched you flip. I just watched you flip and tell your audience that's not what you want to hear. Kind of sickens me. Let's see. Where were we? James says, fun fact, Joe, Fonzie and the Happy Days gang and the Brady Kids had cartoon series in the 70s. I have every episode of the Brady Kids animated series in the video room. It came in the Brady box set. Oddly enough, the Brady Kids animated series was the first television appearance of Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman appeared in animated form on the Brady Kids TV show. That was her first TV appearance. And Fonzie the Happy Days gang was a weird cartoon. They traveled through time with a time traveler named Cupcake. Connor says, any thoughts on Bloodshot this weekend? Don't know if you read the comics. I never read Bloodshot. I hear it's good. The trailers look good. I'm not a Vin Diesel fan. I really don't care for Vin Diesel, but I am going to check it out. Be right back. Hang on one second. James says, do you know that Hero High, a film action cartoon, was originally supposed to be a Archie cartoon, but was retooled because they lost the license for Archie? I don't remember Hero High. Sam asked if I like Nostalgia Critic. I've met Nostalgia Critic. He's a very nice guy. He's very friendly, very personable. Oh, geez, what's his name? Doug, right? Yeah, I've met him. He's quite nice. I'm not a huge fan of his channel, only because, you know, I don't want to trash him. What he does for comedy. I know that he's a comedy channel, and he's trying to be funny. I get that. So I don't have anything personally against him, but I do find his channel to be too negative because he does tear things down. You know, it's all about, hey, let's tear this down, let's tear that down, let's whatever he's talking about, whatever the subject is, you know, he's going to make fun of it. And again, I feel like I want to celebrate the things I love. I'm not really here to tear things down. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan, but I like him. He's a nice guy. Noah says, watched Aquaman. Sad to say I didn't care for it. Well, you know, to each their own, Noah. I absolutely loved that movie. Let's see. Lisa says, I have the exhibition t-shirt too from the Kickstarter for the exhibit. I didn't know there was a Kickstarter for the exhibit. We can match. On a different note, what would you rate Onward on a scale of 1 to 10? I'd say 10. I think it's perfect. I think it's absolutely perfect. That was a phenomenal movie. That's one of Pixar's best. One of Pixar's best. It really, I loved everything about it. It was funny, it was creative, and it really, really got me emotionally because, you know, I lost my dad 7 years ago, and I really related to that story. Gary says, Joe, have I ever seen the movie The Departed with Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon? Yes, a while ago. I don't think I've seen it since it was in the theaters, but I liked it. Aubrey says, I love Archie comics. Joey says, Nostalgia Critic, all he does is ruin your childhood. Jim says, I'm right about something. Joey is right. Oh, Joey's right. Joey Baseball. James says, I have a bunch of Archie comic books. I used to collect some of the digest back in the day. Joey says, I don't want to see a picture of movie about dead parents. That is depressing. Joanna says, have you ever seen the Sean Connery movie Zardoz? Yes. Yes, I have. It's an odd movie. It's an odd movie. I would recommend watching Zardoz and then listening to the podcast, How Did This Get Made? It's It's a bizarre movie. I kind of liked it. Jim says The Departed is one of the best movies ever made. Gary says, I think Pixar has dipped in quality after Cars 2 came out. The only movie after Cars 2 that I liked was Cars 3. I can't agree on that, Gary. I think Inside Out came out after Cars 2, and that's probably my favorite Pixar movie. Toy Story 4 is in my top 5 of Pixar movies, and Onward is in my top 5 of Pixar movies. And so is Coco, probably. So I don't know. I don't think I think Pixar just the quality of Pixar has been phenomenal. I could really only name 3 Pixar movies I don't like: Ratatouille, Cars 2, and The Good Dinosaur. Those are really the only 3. I think they've just been spectacular otherwise. Let's see. Gary says, I've never seen Coco. I've been burned too many times by the new Pixar movies. What Pixar movies are burning you, man? Backward says, I just watched The Descent and Tucker versus Dale versus Evil today. Both are solid horror movies. Tucker and Dale is a great horror comedy, while The Descent scared the absolute crap out of me. Joey says, how do you not like Ratatouille? You're crazy. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Why would pulling the hair work people like a puppet? That doesn't make sense. I mean, that's not, pulling someone's hair doesn't work them like a puppet. It seems like a stupid idea to me. It seems like it's not very creative. You know, Pixar is very creative. I don't see that as very creative. I just see it as it doesn't make sense. Like I don't like that movie at all. All right, guys, we are going to be wrapping things up within the next 5 minutes. Hey, last chance to hear from Super Chat Hippo. If you'd like to hear from Super Chat Hippo, you got about 5 more minutes. Jim says the pulling hair thing is very dumb, but you got to see past that. I'm sorry, man. I can't. I can't see past that. I remember when I saw that in the trailers. I was like, why would pulling the hair? Yeah, I can't. I can't see past that. It's just that to me. Yeah, no. It's my absolute least favorite Pixar movie. It's bottom for me. Cars 2 I don't like either, but at least the plot of Cars 2 made more sense to me than I can accept sentient cars that run their own society before I can accept pulling someone's hair, turning him into a puppet. And I like puppets. I'm a puppet fan. You know, I've gone to Sesame Street. I love puppets, but yeah, no, pulling someone's hair, working them like a marionette doesn't make sense to me. James says, fun fact, Joe, Mario had comics on Nintendo Power magazine back in the day. I remember that. There was also the Nintendo comic system from Valiant Comics, which also created Bloodshot Valiant Comics. Joey says rats don't know how to cook either. Yeah, but you know, in the internal logic of the movie, it's an anthropomorphic rat, so I could accept that. The Big Half says Coco is absolutely gorgeous. I agree. Coco is phenomenal. I love Coco. Aubrey says, I really liked Ratatouille, but I 100% accept your opinion. Thank you, Aubrey. I appreciate it. Gary says, I really didn't like Inside Out. I saw it as a cheap way to get the audience emotional. The only Pixar movie that made me cry was Monsters, Inc. I loved Inside Out. And that's my favorite of all of them. That has got to be my favorite. Lisa says the Kickstarter was to finish the exhibit. When you enter, there is a paragraph on the wall about it. 2,000 of us that donated. That's how I got my Cheryl Henson Art of the Muppets book. That's awesome. I didn't even notice the paragraph on the wall. I'll have to go back and look for that now. James says, I have a Flintstones VHS tape, which includes a Frankenstones segment. I loved the Frankenstones. The Frankenstones. That was probably my favorite era of the Flintstones when the Frankenstones were on. All right, guys. We are going to be wrapping this up now. Tuesday nights are going to be a rather busy night for me going, well, this is an experimental night. We're seeing how the night goes. We're seeing how the night goes. But one of my biggest problems has been scheduling. Scheduling, finding a way to make everything work into my schedule. And I decided, move the live stream to Tuesdays, which we've done. And I'm going to try recording a podcast as soon as this live stream ends. So the podcast should be making its triumphant return, and hopefully it'll be weekly. That's the goal. I want to have a new podcast out weekly. So we'll see if this works. Live stream, then podcast on Tuesday nights. So we'll live stream 9 to 10 and start podcasting at 10. So stay tuned for the Megapodtastic podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, whether it be Apple Podcasts, whether it be, what's it called? Stitcher. I don't know. I'm going to try to get us on Spotify. So the problem here is it's going to require me to talk for 2 hours straight. Fortunately, I have a co-host for the podcast, so we can do some of the talking. I can rest my voice a little bit. But we're going to try this out now. I'm going to log off here. I'm going to go. I am going to start podcasting, and I'll let you know through the social media and all the areas that, you can follow me when the podcast is out. Also, I am still trying desperately to reach my goal of 2,000 subscribers by my birthday, which is next week. I am over 500 short. It looks like once again I'm going to fall short. I am really not good at setting goals and accomplishing them. What can I say? I never seem to hit my goals. I would love to hit 2,000 by next week, which means I need to get 500 subs this week. Over 500. Let's be honest, I don't see any possible way it happens. But if you can like and share my videos, tell a friend maybe who's never been here. If you could do anything to bring someone new to the channel, it would mean an awful lot to me. And that's it. Geriatric Geek says, great job, Joe. Keep on having fun. Any day works for me. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Aubrey says, one day I'll learn how to listen to your podcast. See, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. Hopefully we'll be on Spotify soon. Joey says, just make 10 videos thrashing Brie Larson and the Star Trek series, and you will have 500 subs by next week. Sadly, that is fairly accurate. Did you see they're going after Brie Larson again now because she did a Nissan commercial, and they're all saying they're not going to buy Nissans? What is wrong with people? What is wrong with people? Seriously. Lisa says, I've shared your channel to a few groups. Best of luck and good evening. Thank you. I appreciate it. Indifference is here. He says, it's not the quantity, it's the quality that counts, and your quality is awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. I really, really do. That means a lot to me. The thing is, I got big ideas. Like you guys don't know. I got like a lot of ideas in my head of things I could do with this channel. But I can't really implement them unless we become a little bit more successful and the channel starts making a little bit more money. If I can make a little bit more money off the channel, I could start putting money into the channel, and then I could start making things happen. It's one of those things where it's like I got ideas, but I don't have the means to execute them yet. And I really want to get there because I think we can do some really cool things if I could get the means to do them. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys coming every week. It means the world to me. And thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. All right, guys. Until next week, keep wearing those pajamas. Oh, wait a minute. I missed Gary's stream ending joke. We can't end without Gary's stream ending joke. Have I read the book? Damn it, Jim. It's by Doctor and Nada Bricklayer. Keep wearing those pajamas.